Hey everyone and welcome. In this video, we'll be breaking down the best agents to climb to ranked with when you're solo queuing. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been watching streams of the top pros, but one of the biggest problems is they're often in a pre-made group with other insanely good players. Obviously, the rest of us mere mortals don't have this luxury of relying on teammates and are often left to have to solo carry games. And not every agent is created equally when it comes to this task. This is why we knew we had to create this video. Now, this won't just be one person's opinion. We here at SkillCapped consulted with the best players and coaches while also researching what agents the top pros are having the most success with when they solo queue. From this, we've created a tier list going from the S tier, which are the best agents to solo queue with, to D tier, which are the worst. Now, before you start flaming in the comment section when you find out your favorite agent is at the bottom of the list, keep in mind that this is all relative. In our opinion, it's possible to climb with every single agent in Valorant, so just because an agent is ranked low doesn't mean it's not possible to climb with them, just that it will be more difficult. And lastly, I think it would be awesome if you guys paused the video and created your own tier list in the comment section below before you saw our rankings. This way, not only can you see how close your opinions are to the experts, but we can also get a better idea of what agents the community thinks are powerful. Alright, enough intro, let's jump straight into it. Beginning with the S tier. The agents found in this tier are the cream of the crop, the ones our experts think are the best if you want to solo carry games, and at the top of this tier we find none other than Raze. Raze has always been a thorn in the community's side. I mean, in the beta, she was able to hold 2 grenades and her satchels costed 100 credits less. Yeah, maybe all those complaints about her were actually warranted. However, even after those nerfs, we found that she's by far the most popular agent amongst the top players and pros when they want to carry games or are solo queuing. A lot of this has to do with how the ranked system actually works. You see, when it comes to climbing the ladder, it's not just winning games that's important. How fast you climb is also impacted by how much you win by. A lot of players already know this, but what some of you don't know is that your individual performance also matters. This not only means how many kills you get in a game, but also other metrics like how many first bloods you got, multi-kills, and more. By playing an agent like Raze, who is essentially designed to succeed with this playstyle, you'll actually rank up faster. In addition to this, her abilities make her way more versatile than a lot of players realize. She's not just a straight damage output agent. When it comes to defense, her grenades, satchels, and boombot all offer great ways to stall and hold pushes. Not even to mention the fact that if you have your ultimate up and the enemy tries to rush you, well, you're looking at an easy double or triple kill, possibly even more. Simultaneously, if we swap over to the attack side of things, her abilities are fantastic at clearing angles and letting her push into areas by herself, which is mainly done with her boombot, which is honestly insane and depending on the game you're in, might actually be more useful at helping you push than having a teammate with you. However, her grenade can also work as a pseudo smoke, pushing enemies off angles and giving you a timing window to push in. And her satchels can both help clear those close corners while also giving her crazy aggressive peeks. Overall, Raze is currently the best when it comes to taking advantage of the way the ranked system is designed, while also having the versatility needed to contribute to the team even when you're not top fragging. The next agent in the S tier is also the newest agent, Reyna. Here's the thing, as much as we just gave a ton of praise to Raze, she does have one distinct weakness: no self-healing. This is the problem that Reyna not only fixes, but also turns into one of her main strengths. Due to Reyna's overheal mechanic, you can take a gunfight, then heal to full health and armor so you can win the next one. This is actually one of the most common problems when trying to solo carry. You could be an absolute aim god, but every time you take a fight, the enemy often chips away at your health, reducing your ability to win the next one. Reyna makes it so that if your aim is on point, you can basically wipe out an entire team on your own. At the same time, her invulnerability allows her to take on multiple opponents, then escape to safety to prevent from being traded out. Again, another super common problem players face when they're trying to solo carry. And if all of this wasn't enough, her blind ability gives her a lot of the same versatility we see from Raze. Obviously, you can use it aggressively to help push into new areas without the help of your team, but it can also be used defensively to help hold sites and stall pushes. Honestly, Reyna's base kit is pretty amazing, and she would probably be at the top of the S tier if it wasn't for her ultimate just being weaker in comparison to Raze. Now, don't get us wrong, it has a ton of crazy good benefits with the auto heal off kills, invisibility off orbs, and the increased attack speed and quicker reloads. However, you still need to actually hit your shots, and that makes it significantly harder to use successfully than something like Raze Ultimate, which can literally kill multiple opponents with one click. And the final solo queue agent in the S tier is Phoenix. In a way, you can think of Phoenix as being more well-rounded than the previous two picks. He has his self-healing from his hot hands and wall abilities. You can even heal back to 100 health if you're low by dying in your ultimate. However, the time it takes him to heal is much slower than Reyna while also not replenishing his shields. His flashes are great and act similarly to Reyna's blind and Raze's boombot. However, due to the short duration of the flash combined with the fact that enemies don't have to aim and shoot at something to distract them before you peek like they do with Reyna's eye or the boombot, you will find yourself dying much more often to blinded enemies. His ultimate offers great fragging power, but as the player base keeps getting better, it's starting to become less effective, with players simply able to run away from it or wait for you to push and kill you from unexpected angles. Essentially, what we're trying to say is that Phoenix is fantastic and the most self-reliant agent. However, that comes at the cost of being a bit weaker when it comes to outright solo carrying a game. He's not going to bring that raw damage and fragging power of Raze, while also not having that snowball potential of straight 1v5ing with Reyna. Still, he's definitely good enough to be in the S tier, and if your playstyle is to be completely self-reliant, almost like a Swiss Army knife, rather than just dropping straight 30 bombs, then Phoenix is definitely your guy. Moving on, we have the A tier agents. These are still super strong picks for solo queuing, and you'll definitely find some of the best pros playing them. However, their maximum carry potential is just a bit lower than the ones found in the S tier. At the top of the A tier, we're putting the shadowy figure known as Omen. This is actually something we had a lot of back and forth with here at SkillCapped, with some thinking that he should be in the S tier. Here's the thing, if you want to play a more controller type playstyle, then Omen is by far your best choice. He gives you those smokes to help stall pushes and help execute on sites, just like Brimstone, but at the same time his teleport and paranoia gives him great outplay and dueling potential. Now, for some of you newer players, Omen's paranoia used to be straight garbage. I'm not exaggerating, was probably literally the worst ability in the game. However, they buffed it, and it's pretty much the equivalent of Omen going into the hyperbolic time chamber and coming out Super Saiyan. His paranoia is insanely powerful now, with a faster travel speed and a much wider hitbox, and is honestly at least comparable to a Phoenix Flash or Reyna blind. We've seen more and more pros pick up Omen as their go-to solo queue agent, and he's definitely trending upwards in terms of power. All of this really has to do with the buffs and quality of life changes that he's received. His smokes now last longer, his paranoia is now a top tier ability, he's able to cancel his ultimate to use it as a scouting tool. Even though these changes are around a month old, players are still in the process of learning just how good this actually makes him. This is why we decided to be more conservative and put him at the top of the A tier, but we would not be surprised at all if he ends up being an S tier solo queue pick in the future. Next, in the A tier, we have the surveillance network known as Cypher. Here's the thing, if you hate having to coordinate with teammates, then Cypher is the agent for you. He can quite literally solo hold bomb sites by himself, going entire defensive halves without even seeing a teammate. Not to mention that his tripwire and cage combo can set up completely free kills. This allows you to not have to take a straight up aim battle in order to get frags. If that wasn't enough, his camera also gives you the ability to watch angles and gain information without putting yourself in danger. In many ways, Cypher is the opposite of Reyna. Whereas with Reyna, you're forcing those gunfights over and over again, meaning your aim has to be on point, Cypher looks to manipulate the fight beforehand to give him the highest chance of winning. This can come with a few downsides though, one being if the enemy team never pushes the bomb site you're holding, well, you can find yourself at the bottom of the scoreboard. This is why if you want to be a Cypher main, you need to be comfortable defending a different bomb site if enemies aren't pushing you. Don't just sit on the same bomb site the whole game if you're not getting any action. Now, one of Cypher's biggest weaknesses is in fact his attacking side, but often this is due to players not understanding how to actually play him. First, use your camera aggressively to peek corners for you. Landing a dart on an enemy can cause them to retreat and allow you to push in. Second, set up your tripwires on flanks and try to be the last one alive. This can actually work really well in solo queue. Instead of just going aggressive and trying to push in only to die at the start of the round or trade kills, you want to wait by a tripwire for an enemy to push so that you can get a free kill. You're essentially just lurking around the map looking to punish poor rotations from defenders. When done properly, you can actually end up carrying and top fragging with Cypher. Don't believe us? Just check out T1 Brax's stream sometime as he consistently carries solo queue games with this agent. And lastly, in the A tier, we have the poster child of Valorant, Jett. Jett has definitely seen a rise in power and pick rate ever since they buffed her smoke duration. And in the right hand, she can completely carry a game. However, what a lot of people don't realize is that she really isn't that crazy aggressive duelist like a Reyna or Raze. Instead, she's actually quite a defensive agent. You often want to be opping, using her dash ability after taking a shot to get back to cover, while also using her updraft to get to off angles and catch the opponent off guard. Her smokes also encourage this playstyle, looking to delay pushes and control areas of the map. Her biggest weakness is that she doesn't actually have abilities that help her straight duel opponents in an aggressive way. Reyna has her blind, Raze has her boombot and damaging abilities, Phoenix has his flash, Omen even has his paranoia. But Jett doesn't have anything to help stack the odds of winning a fight in her favor. Because of this, your aim has to be on point as you're often taking a lot of straight up aim battles. There's no better example of this than her ultimate, which will literally do nothing if you aren't hitting your shots. This not only gives her a high skill floor, but also makes her pretty unforgiving and a bit feast or famine. That being said, if you want to be an operator god like TSM Wardell, well, then Jett is definitely the agent for you. However, if you mainly use a rifle, then you're probably better off going with one of the duelists in the S tier. Alright, now we're dropping to the B tier agents. Remember that just because an agent is in the B tier does not mean that they're weak. In fact, as you're about to see, some of the most overpowered agents are actually going to be ranked here. Remember, this is a solo queue tier list, and so despite the upcoming agents being mandatory, top tier picks in pro play, they won't offer you as much solo carrying potential as the picks found above. And with that warning out of the way, let's jump into our first B tier pick, Sage. We already know that a lot of you guys would have thought she'd be higher on the list, but hear us out. A few patches ago, Sage was definitely an S tier pick regardless of whether you played her solo or with a premade. However, she's been repeatedly receiving nerfs, and although they weren't enough to stop her from being always picked in pro play, we do think it's enough to drop her down in strength in a solo queue environment. You're simply not going to have that top fragging and kill potential compared to the higher picks on this list. What you do get though is an agent that is arguably the most powerful when it comes to impacting the team as a whole. A good Sage player massively boosts their teammates' ability to win. Your wall and slow gives the time needed for teammates to rotate and help with the defense. Her heal will mean that players, including herself, can actually take gunfights without being one bullet from death right after. And honestly, one of her biggest strengths is the fact that a Sage that is popping off is going to be getting her ultimate way more often over the course of a game, since each kill equals an ult point. Sage's ultimate is likely the most consistently powerful ultimate in the game. It can turn entire rounds from a loss to a win. And so being the player in control of such an important position on the team gives you a lot of influence over the outcome of the game. However, since your influence is so directly connected to your teammates, if you have bad teammates, well, then you're going to have less of an impact. This means that Sage will be weaker at the lower ranks and progressively become more powerful as you get to higher ranks with better teammates. Also, something to keep in mind, just like with Cypher, Sage wants to play a more delayed approach to attacker's side. This means you can wait to see where your teammates die, what enemies have died, where the enemies are positioned, and then look to pick an engagement that favors you. This is a luxury entry fraggers like Reyna and Phoenix simply don't have. So yes, Sage is obviously a top tier agent, but when it comes to solo queuing, especially in the low to mid ranks, she doesn't bring that same carry potential that's going to help you climb the fastest. Next up in the B tier, we have the champion with the most powerful utility in the game, Breach. Breach's abilities arguably have the least amount of counterplay for the enemy. He has the strongest flash in the game, with it being extremely difficult to anticipate and dodge while lasting for a long period of time, and his fault line, when lined up properly, can be impossible for opponents to avoid. Not even to mention his ultimate is godlike in terms of pushing, defending, and retaking sites. Here's the thing though, Breach truly shines when paired with a teammate you can coordinate with. It's best when you're flashing or using fault line for your teammates to then peek off of, or using your ultimate to execute on a site with them. Essentially, the utility that he brings to the table is top tier, but other agents like Phoenix and Reyna also bring similar utility while being better in a solo queue environment. While it is true that Breach is better in a coordinated team environment, that's not exactly something found in an average solo queue game. So yeah, if you enjoy playing Breach but find yourself frustrated with your teammates, try out agents like Phoenix, Reyna, or Omen. They offer similar utility while being more self-reliant and having more individual carry potential. And lastly, in the B tier we have Brimstone. Now I know, by now you're probably seeing that B tier is essentially just all the champions that are insanely OP in a team environment, but don't hold up as well in solo queue. Let's be honest though, Brimstone is amazing and at the top level is a mandatory pick similar to Sage. Seriously, have you ever tried playing on Ascent without a Brimstone? Good luck getting mid control. His biggest weaknesses though are that he doesn't have the abilities to set himself up to win a lot of the gunfights. You're kind of in this awkward middle spot. You're not a Sage who can just hang back. I mean, you want to throw smokes down to help execute a push with your team, but once you do go to push, you don't exactly have abilities that help you check corners, so you don't want to be the entry fragger that pushes first. This means you'll often throw smokes down and then have to sit and watch them expire as your teammates are too afraid to push forward and make use of them. Compare this to an agent like Omen, which is found in the A tier. You can still throw down those smokes for the same purpose, but you then have your paranoia so you can entry frag on your own, and your teleport to help find sneaky ways to break the opponent's defense. And all of this is exasperated by the fact that smokes recently got a nerf. This made it easier to push through them, which ended up being a huge nerf to Brimstone. So yeah, if you're a Brimstone main, by all means play him when you're with a pre-made, but consider switching to Omen when you queue up solo. Alright, heading into the C tier, we have only one agent, and it absolutely pains me to have to place him here. It's Sova. Listen, Sova is amazing, and in pro play, he's a mandatory pickup right now. We're not going to argue with that fact, and a good Sova player can offer things that no other agent can. The amount of information you gain with your recon bolt and owl drone is unparalleled and can not only let you spot out pushes long before the enemy team executes, but also if you don't spot anyone, it can free you up to rotate to stack the other site. And he only becomes even better on attack. Having a teammate push with your owl drone almost guarantees you control of that area, and your recon bolt can reveal exactly where in the site enemies are playing so you don't get killed unexpectedly from an off angle. However, almost all of this relies on your teammates to actually use this information. Most players aren't going to be watching the minimap or know how to rotate properly, so all this information you're gathering for your team won't end up being that useful. Now, you do have that owl drone into ult combo to help pick up solo kills, but besides that, you're more supporting your team as a whole. One exception to that would be on the map Ascent. I mean, almost that entire map is wallbangable, and you can get a crazy amount of kills using your recon bolt by leveraging that. Still, there is a deep learning curve to Sova with all of his arrow lineups, not to mention that he really shines with hiko level map awareness and rotations to make use of the scouting info. For those reasons, we believe he's a C tier agent when it comes to solo queuing. And finally, in last place, we have one agent in the D tier, and a lot of you probably aren't too surprised to find out that it's Viper. It's been well known for a while now that Viper has been underperforming, with the developers themselves admitting she had the lowest pick rate and win rate. After all, that's exactly why they decided to buff her kit in the last patch. And these buffs definitely helped, but at the end of the day, Viper doesn't bring anything that a different agent doesn't already do better. If you're looking to control vision, well then Omen is going to do it better by bringing more carry potential. If instead you want to strictly control areas of the map, well then Brimstone can do that arguably better, while Sage can control areas and give you way more overall impact on the game. Really, one of her main unique strengths are her one-way smokes. But both Brimstone and Jett can do the exact same one-ways on most maps without having to learn a specific lineup. The nail in the coffin ends up being her ultimate. Despite being one of the coolest ultimates in the game, it's also one of the weakest. This is mainly because of how situational it is. On attack, you can only use it once you've already taken a site to help prevent the defenders from retaking it. On defense, your best bet is to use it preemptively at the start of a round to deny a bomb site or area of the map from the enemy. However, that results in the best case scenario, you have 4 or 5 enemies trying to execute into your poison while you're solo holding the site, which in and of itself is pretty hard to defend successfully. The alternative is the enemy team decides to attack the site your teammates stacked at, but then you spend the round idle in your poison, not able to actually assist in winning the gunfights. In a way, it's a shame because most players would agree that Viper is actually pretty fun to play. This got us thinking, what change would you make to Viper to help make her stronger? Let us know in the comment section below, as we're really interested to hear your thoughts. Personally, I think they have to change either her smoke or her wall. They both achieve similar end goals while both having similar problems. They mainly block vision and don't contribute enough damage or utility. I'd rather have her wall be buffed. Maybe it expires after 30 seconds and you can shoot it again to have a new lineup. Make the line of the smoke a bit thicker, and then just give her an entirely new ability to replace her previous smoke so she isn't just a vision denier, which is a role kind of oversaturated right now by other agents. There are other things too, like maybe her poison will self-heal. One thing that I think would be really awesome would be to give you more control over the pattern of her ultimate. Imagine if when you ulted, you got a screen like when you Brimstone smoked, and you could draw the exact shape of your ultimate. This would allow it to be less situational and be used in a wider variety of scenarios. These are just a couple of my own ideas though. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And while you're down there, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get more premium guides like this one, with one goal in mind: helping you become a better player. We here at SkillCapped want to thank you for watching, and good luck, good half, and good game.